Good morning, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2, our morning talk. And I think that I want to continue this discussion we had yesterday about energy and why people fall asleep. I know that Shubham and I are talking back and forth and trying to kind of get some understanding of this, and I think he's got some really good ideas. So I'm going to kind of talk with him more about his perceptions on this as well. But anyway, first go ahead, subscribe, like, comment, and donate if you feel so kindly to do that. It's greatly appreciated. Like I said, we're trying to kind of reach out to as many people as we can with this channel and try to get people to understand that, we're trying to become the best person you become. So, look at this whole thing. We're talking about being tired. I was tired a great deal. And there's lots of reasons that you get tired. Obviously, lack of sleep. Things that are hurting you, like too many processed foods. A lot of things that make you tired. But the one thing I noticed a lot of is during the period of time where I was struggling with this, is that when you're releasing, you get tired. Now, I did not realize how many nutrients and realize all the, things that are in your body. And I'm not going to get too technical because I think it would just confuse our discussion more. But I think that I realize how much it took out of me. And even, when you're actually having intercourse with other people, it takes a lot out of you. So naturally, because of that, your body has to rest and your body has to regain that type of energy back. So from a perspective of looking at this from your idea of energy, that energy cannot be created. It can't be destroyed. It just is transfer for something. So it's not really created or destroyed, but it's transferred. And we know that in the law of physics. So the question then becomes, how does energy work when it comes to when you're tired? Obviously, when you're losing a lot of energy and you're at the point where you've just released and now you feel tired. Well, now it's almost like you've passed that energy on to something out there. Now, whether it's a bed sheet or whether it's to a person or something like that, it's moving that energy into something else. It's transferring it. So you have a space within you that will eventually be full, but at that moment, it's not. It's kind of empty. So you're going to have to rest and kind of refuel yourself. And when you do that, when it comes to things like, your foods, your exercises, things like that, you will build through your blood. You will build, semen. You will have sperm. All those type of things will continue to build in you and manufactured by your system. Now, as you get older, testosterone, those things can go lower. And so you have to really be careful, as I'm finding out, that it makes a huge difference if you're not releasing, because you're keeping a lot of those nutrients within you and you're kind of building it up, almost like that example that Harold was talking about with the bank. I still go back to the example. So the bank type analogy is a good one here, that basically you're making a withdrawal, and if you're doing it for a reason to have a child, that's wonderful, because you're using the money as an investment into something else. But if you're using it and just kind of throwing it away, it's almost like going out and drinking all weekend, and what are you getting out of it? Now, I don't drink, so as I talk to people all the time, and I have lots of people around me that drink, and I just never understood, how can you just go ahead and blow your money on something like that and get buzzed and that's it? So, and then you're still paying bills and things like that. Now, I'm 60, almost going to be 61 years old, so I probably look at this a lot differently than when I was 20 years old, I'm sure. I have to go back and think about it more. But the thing is that, you're wasting money. So the key point is that you're wasting energy. Now, if we look at the idea that you are releasing energy, you have to kind of build up that bank account again. And what do? You end up putting things into your system and body, the positive things like nutrition foods, proteins, those type of things, not processed food, One of the great suggestions I heard was when you go to a grocery store, go shop on the outside aisles. The the meats, don't go in the inside mile stuff with all the processed foods. And that's probably a really good idea, by the way. I think it's a really good idea. So the thing is that as you're looking at this, you're trying to build yourself up again. And obviously getting enough sleep makes a difference. Things like that will all impact how tired you are. So it's not just one thing that plays into this. It's a bunch of things. But because you cannot destroy energy, it's going to transfer itself into something else. So you put a food in your body, it will transfer into energy. Now, what ends up happening is when you're overeating, because I go back to this yesterday and I'm still going to try to mentally think about this as we talk about this more, is that you can also get tired by eating too much. Now, this is when you have an overload of sugar or carbs or whatever it might be, processed food, and it's taking a while for your body to digest it. And so you'll get that little bit of a hangover. Some people do siestas and things like that when they're eating, and they nap, right? You can also get tired that way. So what happens in that type of situation with energy, right? So the energy you have obviously goes into your system, but as you're overeating, right, your body can only work so fast to manufacture food, energy, things like that. Now, if you don't eat for a while after you've had a big meal, you'll get back to the homeostasis, the stage you're in. But the thing is that what you're doing, but is you're overtaxing your system. So the thing is, it's almost like, you're going overboard too much to the point where the system has to slow down a little bit. And I'm trying to think of an analogy with this. It's almost like being overdrawn, but in the opposite way, right? You're adding lots of things into it, and I suppose you can get tired that way. So my dilemma, as I'm thinking about this more, is kind of thinking how that goes into loss of energy and how we actually think about energy loss, especially when we're trying to retain and things like that. And so the question then becomes, obviously, is can you retain too much and have the same effect as overeating when you do this? And so, Shubham, even though I don't think you may have meant it this way, you've opened up a lot of great questions here that I want to kind of dwell into as we talk about this more and more. And we'll probably focus on this another couple different episodes as we go along. But the idea then is looking at, can you actually overload yourself, which is what some people tell me. That's the reason why they don't retain. I think this is probably more of an excuse, but that they don't retain is because they basically don't feel it's good to overload yourself. You're going to explode. Now, this is a thought that's been out there with doctors and people like that for a lot of years, and I don't buy into it anymore, but I do think you can transmute that energy. So if a person is sitting there and they're overeating or they're on retention, unless they're transmuting that energy, then they could have some overload. And I know we've talked about this before, that if you're not really doing exercises, deep breathing, you'll have an abundance of energy and you could get very irritable. Now, I've seen that happen before. So I suppose we go back to a lot of the Bible's talking about in moderation, right? Everything in moderation. You want to have a balance of things, right? There's times that you want to go ahead and really, have great nutrition. You want to have enough food to eat, but you don't want to go overboard. You want to go ahead and have, a lot of success in your benefits of retention, but you don't want to not do anything with it. It's one thing to retain, but if you're not going to use it to achieve goals, to transmute it, well, then it's going to build up to the point where it does become frustrating. And I have seen that actually happen, especially with younger people and when I was younger. So I do think that can happen. But I also think what you can do is you have to be on a plan or a program in which you're basically using energy to transmute. You're trying to transmute energy that you have. The energy can't be destroyed. It's going to turn into something. So whether you overeat, whether you have, a release or something, you're going to have that energy go somewhere. Now the question is that energy serving you better by building your muscles, by transmuting to goals and achievement, or are you just kind of wasting it away? And now you feel tired. This is why when people are able to transmute it, they build energy in themselves. And now they become more energized. Because what they're doing is transferring all that fat that's sitting there into energy. Now you can't do that unless you keep your nutrients, which is one of the problems we have when we release. When we release, we go ahead and we lose nutrients. So whatever fatties and things that we have in our system, we cannot break down as easily because we have lost a lot of our nutrients. This is why you'll see, especially through Kendler's exercises, that nutrition plays a big part maintaining that energy level, those chakras, and keeping those energies going. And you can do more. And obviously, if you feel lighter, you're going to do more. But you can feel heavier, right? You can feel heavier by retaining too much when you're not transmuting. And so as I'm thinking about this more, that seems to be the key to it all. Whether you're overeating, whether you're just sticking all your money in the bank without trying to invest on it or put it in different types of things, you're not using your retention, your energy the best way you can. And you can be overloaded. Whether you eat too much, whether you have too much retention, if you're not doing something with it, it can go ahead and create this frustration with people because they will feel heavier. Now, I think this is kind of more, and maybe I'm wrong, Shubham, but this is what I think is more moving into the direction of what you're talking about. Because mass will not change. Your mass is still going to be your mass. I mean, you could lose weight here and there. Obviously, your weight will go down. And a lot of times when people lose their weight, they gain more energy because they're transferring that weight into muscle and they get rid of the excess waste. But the idea then is you're still trying to go ahead and use that energy in the best way you can. And if you can use that by transmuting it into something, then you're least likely to go ahead and feel frustrated and upset. And that's, I think, the whole key to it. Keep your mind on other things. You're going to get tempted. I get tempted all the time. Keep focusing on those goals and trying to, in the case of food, try to do small portions. Keep that energy level going so you're not slowed down by the excess amount of food. The same principle applies to your energy as far as your retention goes. Don't try to try to do something with what you're doing. So if you don't, you will get frustrated, and I do believe you will feel heavier because of that, and you'll get frustrated and realize, thinking nothing's happening here. You have to try to transmute it. So it's 2 points here, guys. Retaining is 1, but transmuting is 2. And I know I've had some videos on that, but I think it's a key point. So, all right, my friends, enough for today. This is April Fool's. Have you guys have a great April Fool's Day, April 1st, 2022, and battle on.